Alright everybody, welcome back, and after way too long, we finally have a highly requested vehicle in War Thunder, the F-106. And I think coming to the game as an event vehicle was a perfect choice for it, and we'll get onto that here in a little bit. Now like usual, I'm going to start off with flight performance, and this is actually a pretty strong department for it, especially at 9.3. But as most planes do, it does have one pretty major downside, and all you have to do to see it is just watch the top left corner as I turn in beside to say 10. You ready? Yeah, it bleeds speed like an absolute pig. And at those lower speeds, it does have a little bit of a rudder issue, kind of like the Mirage. Of course, this is nothing new for Delta Wing jets. You know, if you played a MiG-21 or the Mirage that I mentioned earlier before, you would have already been used to that, but it is just something to keep in mind. Besides that, the other parts of the flight model, you know, its acceleration, its top speed, are all very good for this battle rating. And if you like going aggressive and pulling in hard behind someone, this thing can do that like crazy. Pulling up StatShark, you can actually see that it has a way higher instantaneous turn ability compared to even the MiG-21S, which is known for being able to pull fairly hard. And also, while bleeding speed, it actually turns harder as well. So if you can't avoid getting slow, you are able to pull inside most of the stuff that you see. It can also keep up the turn at those slower speeds somewhat well as well. The problem is that even if I would probably kill this J-35XS if I had a few more turns, I am going to die because I get third party. This isn't one of those rat planes where you could just dogfight in the middle of the battle and not care because you have tons of energy retention. And of course, having no flares, which is normal for the battle rating, does also make it a little bit less survivable in these dogfights as well. It does make it a lot less survivable though in the normal matchmaker that I was getting. Most of my games that I have been in, I have been getting 10.3 or 10.0. I do want to say, unfortunately, Gaijin didn't give us a test drive ahead of time, so I couldn't play in the normal 9.3 matchmaker. Everybody else got the F-106 today, so that may be why, but quite a lot of my deaths were getting shot by an AIM-9J, an AIM-9G, or as you're about to see in a second, an all-aspect missile from an under-tiered attacker. Now, these ones are usually somewhat okay to deal with because you can just go in head-on and fire a missile at them. But there's a slight catch with the F-106. You probably notice you don't see any missiles on my aircraft right now. Well, they're all inside of a weapons bay, and so to be able to go ahead and use them, well, you either have to press the fire missile button automatically opens, or you gotta go ahead and open up your missile bay. That's just the bomb bay button, by the way. The problem is your gun is actually in that bay in the rear part. And so if you go ahead and use your missiles, you can't use your gun. So your choices are die with the all-aspect missile or just don't get a shot off. Your other option, if they're high enough, is maybe trying to use the AIM-4F because this is the radar version of the Falcon. And just to be quite frank, these missiles are not the greatest. Now, I'm not going to do a deep dive into these. I'm going to leave that for hopefully Jake to do later. But don't be misled by the 27G stat card into thinking these are some crazy good missiles. Honestly, at best, I would say these are AIM-9B side grades. They are better than the AIM-7C. I will give them that. But as you saw right there, any kind of like actual maneuver from a sentient player is going to defeat these. They also have incredibly limited range. I mean, if you shoot them for more than about 5 kilometers, they're just straight up not going to hit in most cases. They have a good strong booster, but the problem is it only lasts for 0.63 seconds, and they have an incredibly weak sustainer that burns for the next 4. They also fly straight for 0.63 seconds after launch, so you can't just, shotgun them at the enemy. And just to make it even better, neither of these missiles, neither the AIM-4F nor the AIM-4G, have a proximity fuse. That's right, these are the first missiles on a plane that actually require you to hit the target directly. So all those kills that you get from an enemy not realizing the missile is there until they actually hear it right behind them, yeah, no, you're not going to get any of those. Now, me personally, I have found that the AIM-4G is more reliable. That is the IR one that you're about to see me using in the background. And for what it's worth, these do actually have a pretty good seeker. They have the same seeker stats, like what, comes to its flare resistance and everything else, as something like, the AIM-9J or the AIM-9G. But just look at how long it takes for this missile to get to the G91. He is essentially stalled out. If he was actually paying attention at all, that missile will not have been able to hit him. And if you want to play this thing, you're going to have to get used to managing that bay. You see, I go ahead and pull it back in immediately once I go for this MiG-15, because I know I'm not going to get a missile shot on him. I'm going to have to go for the gunshot, and so I just have to go ahead and get it ready ahead of time. Whenever you do get down tiers like this, though, the missiles are a lot more useful, because you're fighting subsonics. They don't have nearly as much energy to actually be able to deal with the missiles. And the only other thing that I want to mention weapons-wise is that you do have an exceptional gun, right? You have the M61 Vulcan. But I have noticed that I have a very difficult time aiming it in this jet specifically because it is mounted low and back on the jet. It fires below where you're used to aiming in basically every other jet, and it is something that you're going to have to get used to, especially with snapshots and the like. You're going to have to aim a little bit higher than you really think you should. You also have more ammo than like the F-16, for example, so you can spray a little bit if you're having issues aiming it. But honestly, this plane at 9.3 is kind of crazy as long as it's not getting full up tiers. And that has been my issue, is that I have been getting almost nothing but 10.0 and 10.3 games. This was the only 9.3 game I got. But when I did get a 9.3 game, it is absolutely ridiculous. This thing should not be at 9.3. It should be a 9.7, to be quite frank. This reminds me of the F-104 situation all over again. None of these jets can touch me. I'm just flying around doing whatever I want. I can point my nose wherever I want, get a burst of Vulcan off, and just leave. But there are plenty of planes at 9.3 that really need to go up. This battle rating as a whole has taken a lot of abuse recently. We had the reign of terror that the F-104 had for a long time before it got nerfed. We have the MiG-19, which has been sitting at 9.3 for ages. You had the A4N, which actually, I kid you not, today finally got moved up to 9.7, which is a great decision. The F-106 is just the latest in a line of stuff that should not have been at this battle rating. Unfortunately, though, even though it really should go up, I doubt it's going to, because at the moment, it is getting absolutely slammed, because it's getting constant up tiers to 10.0 and 10.3, and then people are just slinging high G missiles at them, along with, of course, the fact that a lot of the players are probably not the most experienced. But the fact that I can now see the Seahawk, of all things, in the F-106 is just kind of ridiculous, to be quite honest. Now, if you're wondering if you should keep this, my advice is definitely yes. This is a very unique event vehicle, which has quirky and very funny missiles, even if they're not the greatest. I mean, shoot, they even gave it the prototype HMD that only like one of them had. I'd go ahead and redeem it, and maybe just wait until the Matchmaker dies down. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what y'all are thinking of the jet if you tried it already in the comments down below, and I'll catch y'all next time. So, peace, y'all.